Welcome to this positive self-talk microcast from JC White & Co. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you how you can rapidly switch your thinking so you can rapidly change the way you're acting and get better outcomes in business and in life. So, let's get started. We know that consistent high performance, whether it's in business, in sport, or just in life, is a combination of a few things. It's a combination of having great skills, so having talent, but it's also added to or enhanced by positive mindsets. One without the other doesn't deliver consistent high performance. And so what we thought today, we'd love to teach you about how you could add to your great skills, add to your talent by having a more positive mindset more of the time. So let's learn about that now by starting with a story around basketball. As you probably know in basketball, there's a couple of different ways that you score goals. One is what we call court play. That's taking a shot from sort of really anywhere on the court. But if taken in the zone closest to the net, most players, let's use LeBron James as an example, but a player like him would get about 52% of his shots in from court play. The other shot is, of course, the free throw. That's the one that you get to take from a fixed position in front of the net, and LeBron can put those in 75% of the time. Now, he's an extraordinary player of a generation. So let's have a look at, say, the average college basketball player and compare their results for court play and for free throws. So for the average college player, in court play, they're going to get about 42% of their shots in. And free throws, slightly less than LeBron, but at 69%. Definitely what we know though, is that a player who works on their game, develops their skill set, can get a really good strike rate from a free throw. So 7 out of 10. But what we discovered was that there was a series of players who were being coached at the Australian Institute of Sport whose free throw percentage was not 69%. So let's have a look at their results. So as you can see from the graphic, their result was that their free throw percentage and their court play percentage was the same. So it's really interesting. Maybe you could just say to those people, you just got to practice more. But what the AIS discovered is that this had really nothing to do with skills and everything to do with mindset. And the big thing is that there's a big difference between court play and free throws. Now, in court play, the action is fast. So mostly what players are relying on is muscle memory, doing the things they did in practice, often really without thinking about it. So the big difference between court play and the free throw is actually time. From the moment the whistle goes to taking the free throw, that period of time for some players, particularly those with a low free throw shooting percentage, that time hung heavy on them. And what they often indulged in was what we'd call negative self-talk. Let me give you a couple of examples. When the psychologists and the coaches spoke to the players with those low shooting percentages for free throws, this is what they heard them say to themselves. They used to say things like, I hope I don't miss this. They felt enormous pressure from their teammates, from their opponents, possibly from the crowd. This idea of everybody staring at me. They would often deal with some of the issues of missing, which is, if this doesn't go in, we may not win the game. We might not make the finals. And ideas like, don't mess this up. Every one of those messages, negative. And there's a very strong relationship, what you're thinking to how you're acting and the results you get. So they had to come up with a solution. And of course, one of the solutions isn't to say, don't think any negative thoughts. The brain's not very good at responding to a don't instruction. You can't also say to them, don't think anything at all. The mind is a vacuum. If you don't fill it with something, it fills up with something else, right? So what they did do is they said, you know what we need to do? We need you to get your thinking above the line, and we need to get that thinking positive. So they got the players to replace the negative self-talk with positive self-talk. Statements like, this one is going in. They encouraged them to follow their routine at practice and just work their way through a routine, thinking about how they might set up, getting their feet in the right position, how they bounce the ball, focusing on the goal, whatever it might be. They even got them thinking or indeed visualizing the way this was going to work out. Actually seeing the ball sailing through the hoop. Yeah? or indeed just focusing on the way they do it at practice. So moving away from worrying about the perceived pressure or that people were staring at them, just focusing on their routines, focusing on a process and focusing on positive thoughts. So of course, like any good experiment, the good people at the IAS created 3 groups. Let me talk you through the experiment they went through. So they set up 3 groups. All of the players had the same issue, which is that their shooting percentage from free throws wasn't up at 69%, but was more down at that 42%. Yeah. Group 1 just did the mindset exercises. So they just did the positive self-talk and a little bit of visualization. Group 2 did both the mindset and the skills in combination at every practice session. And then let's call it the control group, group 3, just did skills practice. Now, no surprises which group improved the most. Like we said at the opening of this address, that the combination of skills and mindset can deliver consistent high performance. That group was able to move their shooting percentage up 71%, 2 points higher than the average for a college basketball player. But what's surprising is who came next? And a lot of people think, oh, the mindset team. But in fact, it was those who just kept practicing. They got a 5% bump. And there was almost no improvement in the people who just did mindset and didn't practice. So what's the lesson from this? The lesson from this is mindset on its own without practice doesn't really work. Mindset and practice, working on your skills, working on your technique is a powerful combination. So in this way that you can't think your way to fitness, you can't think your way to being a better salesperson or a better presenter or a better negotiator without combining both powerful mindsets with developing your skills and practicing. So if you'd like to try this, it's a pretty simple exercise to do. What I'd ask you to do is just to think about an upcoming event, something really important to you, particularly something that is going to give you time between when you know it's going to happen and it actually happening. Maybe you've got an important presentation to make in 3 or 4 days' time. Maybe there's a meeting next week that's really, really important to you. So you've got this issue with time. In that time, if you think you might indulge in negative self-talk, then this is what we get you to do. Think about and write down 3 or 4 positive things about your skill set, your experience, your talents, or just about your personality. Things that you can say are true about you and that will support you when you're thinking about that event. And then take some time out, sit down, breathe deeply, get yourself relaxed, and just run those messages in your mind. And if you just keep playing them back, anytime you're thinking about that event and anything negative pops into your head, just run that loop of those 3 or 4 positive messages. What people tell me is they feel much more relaxed once that happens. They're able to banish negative thoughts, negative imagery, and stay focused on what they need to do to perform at their very best. In the week leading up to that big event, in the day leading up to it, in the hour before, or even in the minutes just before it happens. So you can find this ability to use positive self-talk can be done almost any time. You can also use visualization in almost the same way. So let me just quickly talk through that. So visualization is just creating a video that runs in your mind in the same way as you would use positive self-talk, you're using positive imagery. So create a mental picture of you having a successful meeting or presentation or whatever the event might be. You can sit down, close your eyes, breathe deeply and run that video as often as you need to. In the theatre of your mind, you are the screenwriter, you are the director. You get to decide what that picture will be. And so anytime negative imagery creeps in about that big event, sit down, close your eyes and run your version of it, the successful version of it. So that's positive self-talk and a little bit about visualization. A brilliant, rapid switch to take you out of a below the line state into an above the line state. And combined with the right skills, the right preparation and practice, I'm sure these things will come together to help you take control of delivering great results for you and for your business.